Hi and welcome to this 25-minute beginner side body series. I'm starting in a Z-sit position. I have my right leg forward, but you could also mirror me with your left leg forward, and don't worry, we'll get to both sides. I'm rocking my pelvis forward and back, so back leg side, that hip bone is rocking forward, and then I try to rock back, bringing my sitting bone down as low as I can. Hands behind the head, stretch one elbow to the ceiling, and then the other elbow. Still trying to leave both sitting bones as low as I can. I know it's generally not possible to have both your sitting bones down if you're just starting out, so don't worry about it if that back sitting bone is up. So as I stretch one elbow up to the ceiling, I really want to push it back and up. I'm going to add that bottom arm. It comes to the ground and I kind of push towards my rib cage a little bit, in hopes that the opposite ribs flare open to that opposite wall a little bit. And again, take the hand down, kind of push against the ribs. See how that intensifies the stretch a little bit. And back. Same thing, but now I'm going to extend that top arm. I want my arm up by my ear, head back, and other side. And just connect the breath where it feels natural. I generally like an exhale as I stretch over, and then an inhale as I return back up to a neutral spine. Just make sure you're breathing. Keep going. We're really just trying to open up the side body or the rib cage, flaring the ribs open on one side. Then we come center and stretch the ribs open to the other side. Setting up for a beginner side plank, I'm going to come down to the arm on the same side as my front leg. So for me, that was the right. Bent stacked knees, hips behind my knees, and I want my elbow under my shoulder, my low ribs lifted. I'm going to hold the low ribs to remind them to stay lifted, bring my hips up into a side plank, and lower with control. Head in the most neutral position I can find. So remember, your neck and head are an extension of your spine. So we want to match the angle that the spine is at with the neck and head. Changing it a little bit, I'm going to hold the top leg out extended. Bottom knee still tucked in. I'm going to make sure I'm still lifting up through my low ribs. Reach the top, take the arm up, return the arm lower. Find side plank, reach the arm to the ceiling. Hands find the low ribs and lower. That just reminds me to stay in a nice long line with my torso and not sink the ribs towards the floor. Next, I'm going to set up for side lying leg. So still same side. I'm going to straighten my bottom arm and use it to kind of create like a cradle or a pillow for my head. Both knees are bent in. You want your hips way, way back behind your rib cage. I make a capital L shape with my index finger and thumb measuring to make sure my neck is in alignment. Index finger in the chin, thumb on the top of the breastbone, and then here different hand positions. Hip, spider fingers in front of my waist, or hands behind my head. I'm going to go with spider fingers just on the mat right out in front of my waist. Clamshells, so my top knee is going to lift up. That top leg goes into external rotation. Holding everything else as steady as possible. The only moving part is going to be that top leg. If you like, bottom leg, push it down into the mat to help you stabilize and to help you keep the low waist lifted. Now top leg is going to extend out right outside of my hip. I'm going to tap the mat and lift. Tap the mat and lift, holding the hips as steady as possible. Tap and lift. So we're going for about 8 of these. Just a couple more. Last one. And take the leg in alignment with your hip. Flex your foot. You're going to kick forward as far as you can without changing the shape of the spine. Little 2-pulse kick. Point the toe, sweep the leg, kick back. Flex, kick forward for 2 pulses. Point, kick back as far as you can without shifting through your torso. Kick forward 2, point, kick back to fill the glute. But remember, the rest of your body that's lying on the mat is actively working to stabilize and not move around. So the object here is that you're trying to kick the leg as far in both directions as possible without changing the shape of your spine or kind of bobbling through the hips. Strongly flex the foot and strongly point the foot, reaching through the toes. Reach through the heel and the flex, and reach through all the toes and the point. Last one, but break at any point if it gets to be too much. Bicycle that top leg, so as far back as you can, and then bend. Bent leg comes as far forward as you can before you straighten. Sweep the leg back as far as you can before you bend. Bent knee comes as far as you can forward before you straighten. Keep going, and remember your option to take a break at any point. You can jump back in. I know these are quite a challenge for the hip muscles, and you will definitely feel this, beginner or not. Next, we're going to reverse the direction of the bicycle. So straight leg comes as far forward as you can before you bend. Bent leg comes as far back as you can before you straighten. Again, going as far as you can in every direction, trying to not move the torso in any way. Now you can make smaller rotations to make it easier. So if you feel like your body's just kind of rocking all over the place, definitely make smaller rotations and get control of the torso. Top leg aimed at the back corner of the mat. It's going to lift back and up at an angle. So feeling those outer hips, maybe a little more glute with it as well. My top arm is actually reaching to the front corner of the mat to counterbalance that back leg. It's totally optional. Top leg still reaching for that back corner of the mat, drawing little circles back here, and then make sure to reverse the circle direction. Now we're going to flex the foot, turn it into external rotation from the thigh bone, draw a rainbow to the front corner, rainbow to the back corner. As I rainbow to the front corner, internal rotation, rainbow to the back corner, external. Tap the toe, tap the heel. I'm not quite tapping, you don't have to tap, just aim the heel towards the back corner, aim the toe towards the front corner. You'll feel it. Smaller rainbow will be easier. Bigger rainbow is going to be harder, but again, we're not going to move the hips around, so only as big as you can control with steady hips. Moving on, we're going to extend both legs out to the front corner of the mat, stacked forward of the hips. Bottom arm is going to go straight. Top hand is going to come to spider fingers on the mat in front of my waist. We're going to squeeze both legs together and they lift off the mat. Squeeze the legs and they lift. Still trying to keep a lift in that low waist. This is a modified or beginner level side lying banana. I'm trying to keep my low waist lifted, and squeezing the inner thighs definitely helps both legs to come up. Honestly, it doesn't look like much, but it feels like a whole lot. So if you need to take breaks, remember to breathe. Now we're going to bend that top knee, place it in front of the other leg. Bottom arm can stay the same or bend. Hand on the hip or stays out in front. Low leg is going to lift now, working those adductors. Again, it doesn't look like a lot, but it does feel like a lot. Keep reaching that leg as long as you can so it lengthens to lift. Lengthening long through a pointed foot, long through the toes. Good. Stacking the legs. Now we're going to come back up to our Z sit position, same leg in front. So I started with my right leg in front. If you're mirroring me, it's your left. But then I'm going to drag the back leg around and cross it over the other leg to stretch the outer hip muscles that just worked. Pulling the knee into my chest, sitting my back up as straight as I can. I'm going to show you the modified version. So if being a pretzel is a little too much for you, that bottom leg can just go straight. Everything else is the same. You're pulling that knee in. This should be the leg that was doing all that lifting previously. Now back to that Z sit. We're still on side one. So my right leg is in the front. I go back to those side stretches. Take my elbow up to the ceiling. Option to extend both the arms, or you can just keep bent elbows. Elbow goes up, stretch up and over, find center. Exhale, stretch over. Inhale up, exhale, stretch over. Big side bend, extend the arm. Now rotate the shoulders to face the floor. De-rotate, find center. Other side, center, big side stretch. Again, rotate the shoulders to face the floor, head neutral as possible. De-rotate, hands find the head, center, and other side. And repeat it. Side stretch, reach up and over, rotate, face the floor. Now we're going to bring that top hand to the floor and hold this twisting stretch. As you stay here, I want you to just breathe and focus on expanding the back side of your rib cage, specifically the back side between your shoulder blades every inhale breath. Try to balloon the rib cage out to the back. Exhale slowly through the mouth. I'm going to retrace my steps to come out of it. So find that side bend, hands behind the head, restack my spine, stretch to the other side, enjoy it. Enjoy the movement of the ribs. One more time. I'm going to stretch up and over. Find that same position, rotate the shoulders, face the floor, that top hand comes down. Now you might find a little more ability to move here. So I want to extend my spine now as much as I can. I'm reaching my breastbone forward and up, and I'm taking my head back. So kind of like that swan shape. Continue to breathe. Then I'm going to retrace my steps to come out of it with care. Ribs feel awesome right about now, feeling very unlocked. Good. Okay, side one is done. So I'm going to shift the legs around. So now it's going to be my left leg in front of a Z-sit. Everything starts over. If you're mirroring me, now it's your right leg. I'm going to rock my hip forward and back. So remember that side, that back leg side where the sitting bone really doesn't want to be low usually. We're rocking that hip forward and then back. We're trying to get that sitting bone as low as we can. Not forcing it, just hoping to warm things up so it will move a little bit lower. No worries if it won't touch. Hands behind your head, start with those side bends. Now we should be pretty warm, but we're gonna go through it all again. Honestly, there is no feeling like getting to open up your ribs as much as we're doing. So enjoy it. As the ribs get warmer and warmer, they might allow more and more movement. They should be pretty warm by now. So remember, the goal is to stretch the elbow back and up towards the ceiling. So really opening up that side body. One side might be a little tighter than the other. That's okay. Just breathe through it and keep going side to side. Enjoy it. Now we're going to take that top arm down and pushing into the rib cage a little bit to intensify that stretch. So kind of notice as you take that hand down, you push into the ribs on its side in attempts to flare the rib cage open on the other side. We're going to keep going with that, but we're also now going to add the extension of that top arm up by the ear. So remember, back by your ear and head back. Stretch up, exhale over. Inhale, tall spine, and exhale, stretch up and over. So careful to not go into fetal position here. We didn't talk about that so much on the first side, but now that you know what's going on here, notice that if your head and your chest try to cave forward and go fetal position, you want to keep everything back. Now leaning down onto that elbow of the front leg side. It should feel natural to just come onto that same side, stacking both knees, elbow under the shoulder. I check my low ribs, see the difference of the sagging ribs and the ribs lifted, L-shaped, to check neutral. And I also kind of go up and down with my head to make sure it matches the diagonal of the spine. For side plank, I hold my low ribs, I lift my hips up and lower. Remember, my hips are behind my knees to help me balance. If you want a little more of a challenge, you can go a little bit forward with your hips and try to create a straight line from your knees to your head. If you're a beginner, I would advise having your hips back a little bit. You should be feeling obliques already, and of course, in your supporting shoulder, you'll feel a lot of work. Top leg extends out for this part. Same motion, lifting up, but now I stretch my arm up to the ceiling, hands find the ribs, and I lower. My hands, just as a reminder for those low ribs to stay up. Also, that low arm, you want to keep a lift up out of that shoulder, so not sinking into that shoulder. Good job, you made it to the very last one. Now we're going to set up for our side lying legs. So same side, extend that bottom arm. I'm going to kind of cradle my head here. My hips are way back behind my rib cage. Knees are bent and stacked, and that low waist is lifted, and then I'm just checking my head alignment again. So remember your hand options on the hip, spider fingers out in front on the mat, or right behind my head is going to be the hardest. I'm going to go with spider fingers. That's going to be the easiest to help me to stabilize. Clamshells now. Top knee is going to lift up and lower. Feet stay together. No shifting through the hips. You have a good setup, so just focus on your breath. Continuing to inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth if you can. And isolating that top leg. Bottom leg can push into the mat if you like. Top leg goes out. It's going to tap and lift. Tap straight out from your hip and lift. Feeling the hip abductors, so outside of your hip working. And remember, if I'm doing too many repetitions for you, it's totally fine to stop and take a break and jump back in when you're ready. So I know this is beginner level, but this is going to be quite a lot for the hip. Okay, so leg is the height of my hip. I'm going to flex my foot, kick forward for 2. 1 point, I kick back far enough to feel the glute, but not shift through my hips. Kick forward for 2 and point, kick back. It's just a little 2 pulls to give you that little something extra stretch-wise, and kick back. So remember, the goal is to kick as far as you can forward and as far as you can back without shifting through the pelvis. Making that range of motion smaller. If you feel like the hips are all over the place, find that control and just work within that range. Maybe try to make it bigger as you go along. Bicycles now. Leg goes back as far as it can before it bends. Bent leg comes forward as far as it can before you straighten. So going as far as you can in every direction without shifting through the hips. And of course, like we've talked about, break if you need to, and lessen the range of motion if the hips are rocking all over the place. Reverse that bicycle. Straight leg kicks as far forward as you can before you bend it. Bent leg goes back as far as you can before you straighten it. Straight leg kicks forward, bend, and keep going. Continuing to breathe and use your option to break if you need to. Hold the leg back, angled at the back corner of the mat. It's going to lift back and up at an angle, so you should feel a different muscle emphasis. Option to take your top arm out to the front corner of the mat to counterbalance that leg. Holding that leg back here, little tiny circles. They don't have to be big. They can honestly be the size of a quarter. No big deal. Reverse the circles. Check in with your low waist every once in a while. Make sure it's still lifted. Now for the rainbows, I externally rotate that leg and I rainbow to the front, internally rotate, rainbow to the back corner of the mat, external, internal, external. So angle the toe towards the front corner of the mat, angle the heel towards the back corner of the mat. Remember, smaller rainbow is going to make it easier. Bigger rainbow, bigger challenge. Internal rotation to the front, external rotation to the back. The rotation is coming from the thigh bone. Okay, so now we're going to extend both legs out, stacked towards the front corner of the mat for side lying banana, beginner version or modified version. Bottom arm will go straight. I want to lift in my low waist. My hands are going to be out on the mat. Squeeze the legs together to lift. Keep going. They just stay out at an angle in front of you. And remember, I know these don't look like a lot, but they feel like a whole lot. So if you need to do every other one or take a break, don't feel bad to take that option. You're getting plenty of work. Remembering to breathe, you are almost done. We're going to work the inner thigh next, so that top knee is going to bend out in front. You can return your arm to the position from before or keep it straight. Bottom leg is out straight. It's going to lift and lower with control. It's straight out from the hip. I am reaching it long to lift. So pointed toe, reaching long through the thigh, through the lower leg, through the foot, even the toes, reaching towards that other wall. So again, take a break if you need it. We're almost done. And coming up to that Z sit position from before. So second side for me is the left side. If you're mirroring me, it's going to be your right. And then I'm going to drag that back leg around, cross ankle over the opposite knee, pull the knee in towards my chest, and I'm going to sit up as tall as I possibly can, stretching those hip muscles that worked so hard. Now remember, your option, if that's too much, is bottom leg simply goes straight. Everything else the same. You'll sit up tall. So just as a reminder, this bent knee is from the leg that was just doing all the lifting on this side. So continue to breathe whichever position you've chosen, sitting up tall, big inhales through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Now finding that same Z-sit position, we'll go back to our side bending. Stretch the elbow up and arm up by the ear, restack your spine and over. And just enjoy these so you know what you're doing now. Big side stretch over. So just enjoy the movement of the rib cage. See if it allows you to move a little bit further now that it's so warm, now that you don't feel so mechanical. Breathe and move. Top arm up. And I rotate the shoulders to face the floor. De-rotate, hand behind the head. Find that tall spine and stretch over. And again, I stretch up, I stretch over, reach that elbow up, then arm up by the ear. Rotate the shoulders to face the floor, head neutral. De-rotate, find center, and over. And adding on to this next one, so everything starts the same. I stretch over, I rotate my shoulders to face the floor. That top hand finds the floor wide, at least as wide as my shoulders here. Just enjoying the twist, but focusing on the breathing. So as I inhale, really try to expand to the back of the rib cage, and then exhale out slow. Inhale, expand the back of my rib cage as big as I can between the shoulder blades, and then exhale, just allow the ribs to go back to normal. Retrace the steps to come out of it. Stretch over. We have one more, just as we did before. Stretch over, rotate, face the floor. Second hand finds the floor, widen the hands, and this time I'm going to try to take my breastbone up towards the ceiling and my chin up a little bit like a swan. It is challenging to hold it. Just hold it and breathe. Don't force anything painful. And then we'll de-rotate, come out of it, and find a nice cross leg seated position. And sitting up nice and tall, take a big inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale, arms lower. And again, big full inhale breath. And exhale. Inhale, stretch up. And exhale, arms lower. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale. Now I'm going to rotate my shoulders to one side. Create the biggest twist you can. Inhale, square up to the center. Exhale, rotate to the other side. Inhale, square up to the center, stretch to the ceiling before the exhale, and twist. Try to look back over that back shoulder. Inhale up. Exhale, rotate. Try to look past that back shoulder. One more each way. Inhale up. exhale, big twist. And inhale up. Exhale, twist. Centering up for one more big inhale. Excellent work today. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe.